Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It's about 10 minutes after we normally start. I'm the only one here. Aaron sent an email saying that he isn't going to be able to make it tonight, but he emailed pictures of his worksheet to compare to. So we have what he has down, and I'm gonna kind of go over that. But I guess we always start with prayer, so I will say prayer, and then we'll get underway. Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, I'm thankful for this day, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to go through BYU, to continue my education, to be able to better myself and improve the opportunities of my family. Please bless it as I do this class, and as Jacob and Aaron do this class, that we'll be able to learn what we need to do to better ourselves, to be better servants unto thee. Please bless Jacob and Aaron, that they will be able to get the work that they need done, and be able to do well on this week's material. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So unfortunately, was not able to do as much reading and study as I had liked. Being on vacation for a week kind of threw everything off. So what I'm going to do is I'll read the question, I'll give my answer, and then I'll give Aaron's answers. If both of our answers are the same, then I'll go with it. If they are conflicting, I will probably go with Aaron's. He tends to be better prepared and more on top of it on average. So that's what I'm going to go with. Question 1, during recessions, I've got D, all of the above. Aaron he had circled and highlighted A and B, which they're both correct, as well as C, which is why I got D, all of the above. So during recessions, workers are laid off, factories are idle, firms may find they are unable to sell all they produce. So number 1 is D. Number 2, when we say that economic fluctuations are irregular and unpredictable, we mean that. And I've got C, recessions do not occur at regular intervals, and Aaron had the same thing. Number 3, in order to understand how the economy works in the short run, we need to, and I put B, study a model in which real and nominal variables interact, and Aaron had the same thing. 4, the variables on the vertical and horizontal axes of the aggregate demand and supply graph are A, the price level and real output. Aaron has the same answer. 5, when looking at a graph, the aggregate demand, which of the following is correct? I was not sure. I was looking at it and I couldn't figure it out. But Aaron has C, the variable on the vertical axis is nominal, and the variable on the horizontal axis is real. So that is the answer I'm going to go with. All right, number 6. When the dollar depreciates, U.S., and I put A, net export rises, which increases the aggregate quantity of goods and services demanded. Aaron put a star next to his answer. He put B, net export rises, which decreases aggregate quantity of goods and services demanded. And on this one, I know I am correct. I found it in the book. Let me find it real quick. I'm sorry you get to just hear me talk the whole time. Not necessarily the best thing to listen to, but it is what it is. Just a second. Okay, so we're talking about the dollar depreciates. All right. So in the book it says depreciation stimulates U.S. net exports and thereby increases the quantity of goods and services demanded. So that's on page 428, just above the summing up. So that answer is A. Um, sorry, I gotta circle it. Make sure I put it down right. All right, number 7, the wealth effect, interest rate effect, and exchange rate effect are all explanations for, and Aaron and I both got C, the slope of the aggregate demand curve. 8, which of the following shifts aggregate demand to the right? I put A, both an investment tax credit and a decrease in income tax rates. Aaron put B, which is an investment tax credit, but not an income tax, but not a decrease in the income tax rate. And so, that one again, I found it in the book. Let me re-find it, that way I can read it. That way everyone understands where I'm coming from. All right. All right. Here it says an investment tax credit increases the quantity of investment goods that firms demand at any given interest rate and therefore shifts the aggregate demand curve to the right. So a tax credit is going to shift it to the right. We both have that. So now it's the income tax rate. All right. So the investment tax credit is on page 430. And then the tax credit. So one policy variable that has this effect is the level of taxation. When the government cuts taxes, it encourages people to spend more, so the aggregate demand curve shifts to the right. So a cut in taxes is going to shift it to the right, as well as the tax credit on investment shifts it to the right. So it is both A and it is A. The answer is A. Both an investment tax credit and a decrease in the income tax. I know I said for the most part I'd go with Aaron's answers, but those one I know for a fact I found in the book. Number 9, if speculators lost confidence in foreign economies and so wanted to buy more U.S. bonds, I put A, the dollar would appreciate, which would cause aggregate demand to shift right. Aaron put B, the dollar would appreciate, which would cause the aggregate demand to shift to the left. Kind of wish he was on here, or if Jacob was here, we could talk it out. My thought process, and I thought I found it in the book, but right, maybe I did. Okay, so when a fall in the U.S. price level causes U.S. interest rates to fall, the real value of the dollar declines in foreign exchange markets. This depreciation stimulates U.S. net exports and thereby increases the quantity and services demanded. So that's if we lost confidence in the U.S. dollar. Conversely, when the U.S. price level rises and causes U.S. interest rates to rise, the real value of the dollar increases, and this appreciation reduces U.S. net exports and the quantity of goods and services. So Aaron is correct. So the answer for 9 is B. Number 10, which of the following effects provide incentives for consumers to spend less when the price level rises? Aaron put A, the wealth effect and the interest rate effect, and I put B, the wealth effect, but not the interest rate effect. So we're both agreeing on the wealth effect. So now the interest rate. So we're wanting to know which of the following effects provide incentives for why would consumers spend less when the price level rises? All right, so in the book on page 427 under the price level and investment, the interest rate effect, which is the one Aaron and I are not agreeing on. It says when the price level falls, which households try to reduce their holdings of money by spending some of it, lending some of it out. For instance, so hold on. So it looks like Aaron is correct. It is. Wait, no. Okay, so Aaron put A, both the wealth effect and the interest rate, and I put B, the wealth effect and not the interest rate effect. So it says a higher price level raises the interest rate discourages investment spending and decreases the quantity of goods. And so it's both wealth effect and interest rate effect. So Aaron is correct. It is A. Here in a little bit, I'm going to get to a point where I don't have things highlighted and stuff in the book. So since the number 11, since the end of World War II, the U.S. has almost always had rising prices and an upward trend in real GDP. To explain this, I put A, it is only necessary that long-run aggregate supply shifts right over time. Aaron put a star next to his, but he put D. None of the above cases would produce rising prices and growing real GDP over time. So I didn't find this in the book. I was just thinking if we've always had rising prices, which you can see that through the graphs and different things. And so we've had rising prices and an upward trend in our GDP. All we need to see is that the long run supply shifts to the right. That's going to indicate increase in prices and GDP. So I'm going to stick with my answer just because that makes sense to me. Aaron, again, he's not here. Jacob's not here, so I don't have anyone to talk it out with. Number 12, wages tend to be sticky. And Aaron and I both picked A because of contracts, social norms, and notions of fairness. And that was in the book. Number 13, which of the following shifts short run, but not long run aggregate supply right? I picked B, a decrease in the expected price level. Aaron picked the same thing. 14, the long run aggregate supply curve would shift left if the amount of labor labor available. I picked B, decreased or Congress abolished the minimum wage. Aaron picked C, increased or Congress abolished the minimum wage. So the reason I picked B, which is Aaron and I both agree that it's Congress abolished the minimum wage. He picked the supply curve would shift left with an increase in labor available, and I picked a decrease in available level. The reason I picked B, which is a decrease in labor available, is because usually a shift to the left in any curve, whether it's a supply curve or a demand curve, a shift to the left is a decrease in capabilities or a decrease in price. It's a lowering of whatever that particular line is on the graph. An increase is generally a shift to the right, no matter whether it's a supply or a demand curve. So I'm going to stick with mine. I don't have anything from the book, but a leftward shift is synonymous with a decrease. So, yeah. All right, number 15. It says, imagine that in 2015 the economy is in long-run equilibrium. Then stock prices rise more than expected and stay high for some time. What happens to the expected price level, and what impact does this have on wage bargaining? So Aaron and I both picked C, which is the expected price level rises. Bargains are struck for higher wages. 16. Policymakers who control monetary and fiscal policy and want to offset the effects on output of an economic contraction caused by a shift in aggregate supply would use policy to shift. I picked D, aggregate demand to the left, and picked C, which is aggregate demand to the right. I didn't have anything in the book. That was kind of a guess for me. So I'm going to go with Aaron's answer of C, aggregate demand to the right. All right, number 17, we're referring to a graph on the sheet, which you can't see. Haha. The shift of the short-run aggregate supply curve from short-run aggregate supply 1 to aggregate supply 2, and Anna and I both picked B, could be caused by a decrease in the expected price level. 18, we're referring to the same graph. The appearance of the long-run aggregate supply curve. I picked D, all of the above. Aaron picked C, which indicates that Y1 is the natural rate of output. I'm gonna go with Aaron's answer, because I'm not confident in mine. And just so you guys know, this is the updated form. I printed it out this evening. So I know number 19 had a typo of some kind. I don't know what it was. But so number 19 is stagflation exists when prices. Aaron and I both picked C, which is rise, and unemployment rises. Aaron had a question mark in it. But I know that is correct. I found it in the book. And let me go to it real quick. I think Aaron and Jacob will both watch this, so I just want them to know where I found it. on page 449. It's in the side of the book, but it says stagnation is a falling of output, which is a decrease in or a rise in unemployment because you have less labor, and also inflation, which is rising prices. Such an event is sometimes called stagflation. So that's where I got it from. Number 20, suppose the economy is in long-run equilibrium. Senator A succeeds in getting taxes raised. At the same time, Senator B succeeds in getting major restrictions on logging removed. In the short run, I didn't have a clue, but Aaron put C. The price level will rise, and real GDP might rise, fall, or stay the same. And so that is what I'm going to go with. That is all of the review questions. So I'm going to go on and take the quiz. We'll see how good or bad I do. You guys will. Obviously, you have to take it tonight, so you don't have I don't know that you'll be able to review it before you have to do it, but it's out there. I like it when everyone agrees on the answer. That makes it seem much easier to be convinced that what we got was correct. Sorry, this is normally a point where we have regular discussion or talking and stuff. So you kind of get to hear nothing of me rambling on about nothing. Maybe I just like to hear my voice. Not sure. All right, let's see how I did. That quiz. Yes. I got a B, 16 out of 20. So I'm not sure. Unfortunately, that's one thing I wish this class did do, was give us a feedback on our quizzes. I don't know. I haven't seen. I've looked and tried to find where we can go back and see what we got wrong and what the right answer was, so we can have that feedback and more information on what to study, but it's not there. Or can't find it. I don't know. That is the end of the broadcast for this week. We will see everyone next week, hopefully, and have a good night.